It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Well, it's time for us to head over to our parenting expert, Nikki Bush, and today we're talking about the link between repetition and education when it comes to your children.
Now, science shows that our brains learn through repetition. We do an action over and over, and then we get good at it. Or we can remember facts a little bit better as well. Now, this morning we chat to our creative parenting expert, Nikki Bush, about how important repetition is in a child's development. Nikki, lovely to have you with us in studio. Welcome.
Thanks, Ewan.
Yeah, waiting to soak up that nice little parental knowledge that you have to share. Before we get into repetition and why that's so important for a child's development, how exactly do these neural pathways form in a child's brain?
Well, from very early on, Ewan, those neurological pathways are actually formed through movement. The more a baby does the same movement, for example, crawling. Do you know that a baby has to do 50,000 crawling movements to wire the brain for later academic learning? Because crawling actually is about integrating the left and right sides of the brain through movement. I mean, how does that work?
I'm going to start crawling as well. Let's get the brain going again.
They need to do something over and over and over again for that movement to become natural and automatic. And as adults, we forget this because everything we do is kind of automatic.
Yeah.
You know, we clean our teeth with our right hand. Now try cleaning your teeth with your left hand and see how difficult that is, because now you've got to rewire your brain and create a new pathway. Just imagine, this is quite a nice analogy, if you were cutting a pathway through the felt, virgin felt for the first time. You'd need a machete and you'd need to walk that path maybe 50 or 100 times before it becomes visible.
Yeah.
That's what happens when a child starts doing a new movement or learning a new fact. That pathway doesn't exist yet. They've got to make it by themselves by doing the action over and over again until the pathway exists.
So does that explain why I have to keep reading the same story every night for my toddler?
Absolutely. So now we're moving beyond babies to toddlers, and toddlers want the same movie, the same DVD, and you are falling asleep because you just know what's going to happen.
I know this.
And one of the reasons why they like it is because there's predictability. They've got to know what happens next. There's a sense of mastery. Okay, and that makes them feel good. So it's the same with absolutely everything. When they try new things, like maybe building a puzzle, they're not so into it because it's difficult, because they haven't done it before. But then they do it over and over again, and now I can do it because my brain is actually wired to do it. So that confidence builds up the better I get at what I do.
Yeah. So when it comes to talent and practice, you know, specifically with which is more important?
So what did Gary Player say? The more I practice, the luckier I get.
Okay.
Which really is talking about repetition. So we talk about the fact that certain people are born with natural talent, but it's the ones who take the talent and put it to use, who practice and do what Thomas Gladwell in his book Outliers talked about, the 10,000 hour rule. 10,000 hours of practice is sure to make you an expert. Yeah. Whether you play the piano, whether you're a ballerina, whether you're a soccer player, it's bound to make you really good.
So you can't just be talented at something, because I think, you know, a lot of people, we inclined in different ways, but it's how you deal with that then.
That's right. Yeah. So it's what you do with it that actually eventually counts.
Gotta practice. Yeah. Gotta practice.
Well, I mean, you're in the gym all the time. What do you talk about when you're lifting weights? Greasing the groove.
Greasing the...
You know? And because when you start lifting 100 kilos, that could be potentially dangerous. So you've got to work at it
to get there.
Gradually, slowly, to make sure that your body and your brain, because it's not just your body working, it's your brain working as well, in concert to get that movement fluid so that you don't drop that weight on you.
Awesome. Nikki Bush joining us in studio this morning. We're going to be back with her a little bit later on talking about repetition and why that's so important for our youngsters.
It's my